All right, welcome to Return to the Father. Today is just a continuation of the past 2 days, Imitation of Christ. I will be reading through Book 1, Chapter 7, 8, and 9. Now, these are relatively short chapters. I believe this book is more of something like a devotional, a daily devotional, but for my purposes, I'm just reading 3 chapters a day and just giving some thoughts and commentary on how it relates to me, my perspective on these passages. And so we'll begin. So, chapter 7 is avoiding false hope and pride. Vain is the man who puts his trust in men, in created things. Do not be ashamed to serve others for the love of Jesus Christ, to seem poor in this world. Do not be self-sufficient, but place your trust in God. Do what lies in your power, and God will aid your good will. Put no trust in your own learning, nor in the cunning of any man, but rather in the grace of God, who helps the humble and humbles the proud. If you have wealth, do not glory in it, nor in friends because they are powerful, but in God who gives all things and who desires above all to give himself. Do not boast of personal stature or of physical beauty, qualities which are marred and destroyed by a little sickness. Do not take pride in your talent or ability, lest you displease God, to whom belongs all the natural gifts that you have. Do not think yourself better than others, lest perhaps you be accounted worse before God, who knows what is in man. Do not take pride in your good deeds, for God's judgments differ from those of men, and what pleases them often displeases him. It does no harm to esteem yourself less than anyone else, but it is very harmful to think yourself better than even one. The humble live in continuous peace, while in the hearts of the proud are envy and frequent anger. So, things that hit home for me as we come up on Pride Month here in a day or two. It seems like when you are in that mindset, in that belief system, in that ideology, all trust is put in feelings, all trust is put in men, in created things, like this passage is saying not to do. And in the culture here in the United States, it's very easy it's fed to us that, like, how strong and independent and powerful we are and could be. And that's pumped into us from the earliest stages. And so it's no wonder why we're at where we're at. I mean, everything that this passage talks about, wealth, physical beauty, stature, uh, is easily swept away, even if it's no doing of our own. And so the foundation, when you're out of this mindset, and I know I'm as guilty of it as anyone else, uh, there's nothing to stand on. And the foundation's made of sand. So this is, part of dying to ourselves, or what we perceive as ourselves. And following Christ, imitating Christ in this way, actually gives us hope if we are willing to die a little death, die before we die, kill that pride, and Christ is the only one that gives us hope. So onward, chapter 8, shunning over familiarity. Do not open your heart to every man, but discuss your affairs with one who is wise and who fears God. Do not keep company with young people and strangers. Do not fawn upon the rich. Do not be fond of mingling with the great. Associate with the humble and the simple, with the devout and virtuous. And with them speak of edifying things. Be not intimate with any woman, but generally commend all good women to God. Seek only the intimacy of God and of his angels, and avoid the notice of men. We ought to have charity for all men, but familiarity with all is not expedient. Sometimes it happens that a person enjoys a good reputation among those who do not know him, but at the same time is held in slight regard by those who do. Frequently we think we are pleasing others by our presence. We begin rather to displease them by the faults they find in us. So for me, what ties in is open your hearts to every man, fawning upon the rich. Um, those are two things in my life that when you're ungrounded and your foundation is built on sand and you have false hope and pride in yourself and the people around you, uh, I believe that's one of the things that led me to share what I thought were deep connections with people that I probably shouldn't have. And from my young adult years, money became a very big driver, very big one. To be rich and have a lot of money became what I thought, one of the things that attracted women, and it does to a certain extent. But it blinded me to everything else that a relationship requires, at least a deep relationship. And so, yeah, seeking wise counsel definitely, definitely where one should try to, in the Catholic faith, it's obviously seeking wise counsel of a priest through confession. Um, to somebody who knows the scriptures and knows The Bible that is a stand-in for Christ, that's probably the best place to start, even more than your family, because there's too much familiarity there. So, all right, moving on to chapter 9 of book 1, obedience and subjection. It's a very great thing to obey. Live under a superior and not to be one's own master. For it is much safer to be subject than it is to command. Many live in obedience more from necessity than from love. Such become discontented and dejected on the slightest pretext. They will never gain peace of mind unless they subject themselves wholeheartedly for the love of God. Go where you may, you will find no rest except in humble obedience to the rule of authority. Dreams of happiness expected from change in the different places have deceived many. Everyone, it is true, wishes to do as he pleases and is attracted to those who agree with him. But if God be among us, we must at times give up our opinions for the blessings of peace. Furthermore, who is so wise that he can have full knowledge of everything? Do not trust too much in your own opinions, but be willing to listen to those of others. If, though your own be good, you accept another's opinion for love of God, you will gain much more merit. For I have often heard that it is safer to listen to advice and take it than to give it. It may happen, too, that while one's own opinion may be good, refusal to agree with others when reason and occasion demand it is a sign of pride and obstinacy. So, the name of this channel is Return to the Father, and specifically Christ. And for me in my life, obedience and subjection is something that I still battle with, even to this very moment. I did not want to listen to my father growing up. And my way of dealing with it was I'd work around it and sneak around to get my own way, to do the things that I wanted to do. And as a consequence, I learned a lot of things the hard way. And still, sometimes I want to learn things the hard way. I guess I'm very prideful in that way. Trying to learn to be not so prideful and learn things through others' experiences. I have another podcast called the Hall of Fame Fatherhood Podcast, and my latest guest from the Show of Dad podcast, David Mendonca. It's one of the things we talk about is learning from other people's mistakes, other people's learned experiences. Try to apply those to your life as much as you can. And it's obviously easier said than done. But when I think about it, I think it takes going through those hard lessons and learning them the hard way. Even when your parents or your friends tell you, no, you shouldn't do that. It takes some of that hard-headedness to make some people realize, oh no, I should have listened to you there. And part of that too is the timing of the message, how the message is delivered. Um, if it's only delivered in one way, in one fashion, you know, I think that plays a role too. There's if something is communicated to you, like for me, it was, you know, don't. One of the things was, don't date this girl, don't date that girl, and it pushed me further away from the advice. Now, most of that is me. 98% of it, 99% of it. But as a teacher, as a parent, we also have to be aware and try to communicate as effectively as possible the message so it gets through. So, and that's one thing that I see in my boys. I have two sons, and I don't know who said it, but I've heard a saying that uh, something to the effect of the sin, the sin that walks in you runs in your kids, and this is the one of the sins that runs in my kids. Even my 7-year-old, man, is he just like me, hard-headed, doesn't like being told what to do, instant resistance, and at times it's like, yep, that's me. At times it's frustrating as hell, and I navigate it badly, even understanding that, you know, I have those same feelings, I have those same reactions. So it is incumbent upon me to subject myself and to obey. And the only person to obey is the Father. That is where this leads. And this is where I have to lead myself and I have to lead my family back to the Father. So, all right, that was chapters 7, 8, and 9 of the Imitation of Christ. Tomorrow I will be back with 10, 11, and 12. And thanks for watching.